In my opinion, a great addition to any gun is going to be some sort of rubber grips. I have used traction grips in the past. I definitely do like their quality and the way they are cut. They are cut by laser. I recently did use some handle-it grips on my Walter P22, which worked great. Also, I did opt to purchase some strips of grip tape on Amazon as well. So as you can see, this isn't just for weapons. It could be pretty much used on everything. There are some instructions here. I like to use it on my magazines. So on my extension grips, I have customized that. This is actually a magazine for my Glock 27 and also for my Glock 19 9mm. So that way, when you do add it here, it goes nicely with the actual grip itself. So when you do purchase these, generally they tend to wrap around this area here, and then they kind of cut off right here. This was included with my traction grips right here, and generally they do have a smaller piece. What I did is I actually used those strips to basically finish the job off and give it a full wrap. So I'm going to show you today how to go about that and how to finish the back of my Glock 19. So as you can see, this it's pretty seamless. Looks really good. And then when you do hold it, it has a nice grip. I personally really like that. So what you want to do first, go ahead and get your pistol. Make sure it is unloaded. So as you can see here, this did wrap around right here. It did come with a piece right here for the trigger guard. And I've already added a back piece right here, which definitely improves dramatically. But there's a gap right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how we're gonna go ahead and remedy that and make it out of this rubber grips right here, this extra piece of material. Don't throw them away. I usually keep every little strand, every single little piece. First thing you want to do is get an alcohol swab. And then we're gonna go ahead. Actually, this one's pretty dry. Let's try this other one. All right, this is a little moist. You're gonna want to go ahead and rub this right here. And then make sure to dry it with a microfiber or a towel. Okay, all nice and clean. Then we're gonna go ahead and get our painter's tape. In this case, I'm using this color orange. And you're basically gonna want to just go ahead and work it here. Sometimes it does give you an issue where it creases, so you may want to cut it, give it a little tear. And then it should be able to take the form of the actual Glock. All right, so we could see that there. I'm gonna do this top portion is getting a little wrinkled, a little bit hard to work, kind of standing up here to do this video. Next thing we're gonna want to do is I usually like this Sharpie, this marker. Go ahead and just outline and trace the actual end of the other grip, the rubber grip. Do it on that side, do it on this side. All right, right about there. So here, if I don't have enough, I could just grab another piece of tape to extend it. And then just continue it right here. Just basically want to get the basic outline of the rear of the upper portion of the frame. Then you're going to go ahead and gently just take this off. Usually I like to use my junk mail. I'll just go ahead and get the envelope that it came in. And now I'm going to go ahead and just put this here. Get my scissors. Try to reduce this area right here just to make it easier to cut. And then we're going to go ahead and cut along the edges here. Another great piece, a great tool you're going to want to have is an X-acto knife. That helps out tremendously to cut around it and make sure that it's a snug fit to where it looks like it's basically going to be just one piece. So we'll go ahead and go around here. There we go. So we have a basic fit. This one actually kind of looks like a Pac-Man. So we're going to go ahead and get our pistol again. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and take off the slide on this just to make it easier to work. Okay. So now that we have this, we're going to go ahead and just do a quick little fit. One thing I noticed, since it is rounded, generally this kind of arches out a little bit. But once we kind of use this and mold it on there, it does fit a little bit better. So the next thing we're going to want to do, this is kind of tricky. This is a step that initially I had made a mistake. What we want to do is actually get a piece of this tape, flip it in like this. Just going to cut it down. And you actually want to put your tape on this side right here. Then what we're going to do, we're going to take our scrap of rubber grip that we had previously. If not, I think you can buy about 6 strips of these. I think it was like $8 or $10 on Amazon. Find an appropriate area where it's going to fit. And right here, even though it is kind of off, I could try to fix it at this point. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go like this and just kind of try to make up. Also, it's a little bit better to cut it a little bit larger because we could always cut it down, so it's not a problem. So we'll go ahead and bring it down here. I'm going to give it a little bit more space over here just because when I was wrapping it around, it appeared that it wasn't properly touching. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a little bit extra space. And that's a judgment that you'll make on each pistol. It's going to be a little bit different. Okay, once we have that, we're good to go. Go ahead and just peel this back off. Take our scissors, and then you just want to cut around this as close as possible. Usually I leave a little bit of slack, and then I'll just go in there and kind of cut it as I work around it, because it's always easier to cut off excess than to add it. Although I have done certain grips before where I've used about 4 or 5 different pieces, and after really cleaning it up, it's very seamless. You wouldn't even be able to tell. It would almost look like it was one, or it even came like that out of the factory. So just got to be a little patient here. A little difficult because I'm usually not rushing it as fast for a video. So once we have this, you can see that right there, just kind of line up. What you're going to do, you're going to go and peel this off. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to fit this little triangle portion in there first. All right. Looking pretty good so far. Okay, it looks like it lifted up a bit, so I'm going to bring that back down. Okay, so I can tell that this is actually going to have to be cut just a little bit more. All right, let's see if that improves it here. All right, much better now. At first, it is kind of difficult to mold it, but once we use a hairdryer, as we finish it, it will look a lot better and it'll actually go into place a lot easier. All right, there we go. And then these little portions, we could actually cover those up later, not too concerned about it. One thing I did notice though, adding this definitely just improves the grip right here. It's really nice. I really like the feel, and then just overall it will complete this and make it look a lot nicer. So once we have this basically kind of set in here, we're going to go ahead and with my nails, I just try to like move it to align it correctly to where it matches up. Up here, we could definitely see that there's quite a bit of a gap there. It's not properly going on. So that's when you would take your X-acto knife and then just carefully follow the frame and just kind of cut off these pieces here and improve that. You could already see the improvement right there. Looking pretty good. Overall, my experience with all these rubber grips, they've been pretty long lasting. I go to the range probably about 2 to 4 times a month, and sometimes it's indoor, sometimes it's outdoor, just all over the place, and they've held up very, very well. Most of them go, I want to say, about anywhere from $10 to upwards of $20. Just really depends on the model that you're getting and which brand. So it's looking pretty good, not bad. Although I do want to get, so you see this a little bit, I'm going to try to get in there just a little bit more. I'm just going to lay this down at an angle right here. Just try to cut that a little bit. All right, looking a lot better. Look at that right there. It looks pretty clean. So continue on this side here. Much better, looking really good right there, guys. So this right here, we'll go ahead and do the same thing and fix that. The way we're going to do that, take this, work that in right here. Take our marker, and again, just outline this right here. And then we'll repeat the process with that and then just get that filled in eventually. So it's looking really good right now. Next thing we're going to want to do is take our hairdryer. I do apologize, might get a little bit loud. This really helps soften up the rubber to where you could really just put some force on it, work that in there. There you go, it's looking pretty good so far. So I will continue to go ahead and do these other pieces right here to just fit this in, so that way it does look a lot better. So again, we're going to go ahead and take our junk mail. Cut that right there, and then we're going to go ahead and follow up on this right here. Continue the cut. Cut that as well. Okay. So for something like this, even this little scrap is worthwhile and worth keeping it. So we're going to put that right here. I'll try to salvage some tape that I used previously. And what we want to do is, again, we're going to put the actual tape on the side that we actually did our outline on. And then we'll put it down here on that little scrap. Hold it in place. See if I can avoid that tape right there. Now we're just going to outline it. I like to use a magenta or pink marker. It's just really easy on the eyes to kind of see it. Sometimes for some reason the back of this backing of the rubber is made of like a wax material. So sometimes if you're using a pen, it doesn't seem to work that well. So, okay, there we go. Overall, got the look of this, and then we're just going to go ahead and cut this out right here. Clean this area up a little bit. And then we'll continue with this here. There we go. Just kind of cut that right there. Perfect. Now we're just going to do a test to make sure that it does fit properly. All right, a little bit larger. right, it's about right there. So let's go ahead and give it a cut. There we go. Looks like it should fit fairly well. So we'll go ahead and try to peel this off right here. All right, let's see if I could use my X-acto to separate this right here. Okay, there we go. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and work in the pointy area first right here. There we go. Oh, it fits pretty well. Another thing is that if you go to the edges and just kind of use your nail, if you notice there is kind of a little bit of it that sticks out. So when you do line it up, could make it pretty flush. So right there, you could barely even tell that it's in there. If for any reason it is sticking out quite a bit, that's when we could go in with the X-acto, just kind of clean it. Sometimes what I opt to do is just install it as best as I can. Again, I'm going to use a hairdryer real quickly here, just to heat it up, and that really helps mold it in there. So just putting quite a bit of pressure here. There you go. You could barely tell that it's there. So it's really coming together. And now I'll continue the same thing on this side. As you can see, there's a little bit more of a gap right here, so I might try to connect that over here. Sometimes these, despite being cut with a laser, they're not as precise. Also, sometimes when you heat it up, they tend to stretch a little bit more. But overall, that's the way you would go ahead and put these extra rubber grip strips. So looks pretty amazing, looks really cool. Now I have some extra grip right here when I'm holding that. So yeah, definitely worthwhile. Go check these out. It's worth every single penny. Again, I do like the handle-it grips, traction grips. You can't go wrong. Sometimes I go on their website or eBay, tends to find the best price. So hope you enjoyed the video.